Dr. Ajay Kumar, Secretary DRDO, Dr. Satish Reddy, DGQA, and Gwen Chauhan, the Vice Chiefs of the three armed forces, the Managing Directors of the various DPSUs and also the OFBs, distinguished scientists, officers who have been invited to participate in this gathering, ladies, gentlemen, and also the media. Let me start by saying I'm in fact happy to be here and express my desire to attend this program here. Not so much as Dr. Ajay Kumar said, oh, I found time, made honor. No, I've come here more to hear and learn from all of you all, because it's absolutely critical for India to not just be talking about indigenization, but to see what is it that is required to bring that motivation for people who want to innovate, people who want to design, people who want to fabricate, people who want to do the drawings, people who want to manufacture for defense. There's already very clearly, and I can say it with a certain degree of authority, there is already a keenness among a lot of young minds to come back to India, even from Silicon Valley, and say, I'll do the startup's job here. I'd rather be in this country and do it here. Although the opportunities abroad are far more inviting for them. But I've heard this, and I've also seen many of them come back. In fact, I've tried to facilitate to an extent the policy that has to help the startups, and so, therefore I can tell you the world has already seen people come back to India and start their initiatives as startups, because they want to do something new, they want to do something which is innovative enough, and that therefore would help the country to be a better manufacturing hub. I've seen this for the commercial reasons. But what I would like to see is an equal fervor among innovators, among startups, among those who want to do something for defense-related and defense, particularly for defense-related activities. And in this, it's very difficult to draw the line, because things which pertain to hard engineering, things which pertain to communications can also be adopted for defense-related activities. So, I know I'm probably talking of an area where there's a lot which has started happening. But the reason why, and I credit Dr. Ajay Kumar for having gone on a full fervor to have this mission, Raksha Gyan Shakti, because that's the one which is giving the impetus needed for moving towards innovating for defense. And in this, the requirement, the necessity, the need for having Mission Gyan Shakti like program for defense is only because defense is always seen as a very difficult area to come in with a commercialized product in hand. Defense is seen as an area in which probably much transparency doesn't prevail when you want to buy a thing, when you want to procure it for the purpose of defense. Defense again is seen as an area in which technical requirements, be it of quality, be it of certain standards for performance, or be it of even necessity for use, are not really frequently shared. And as a result, anyone who wants to innovate, or anyone who wants to do something towards commercializing some product which is patented, hesitates to approach defense-related sectors. The ministry, for instance. They would rather go to the industry ministry, they would rather go to food processing ministry, they would rather go to steel ministry, they would go to any other ministry where they think they have a prospect, rather than approach defense Because the preconceived notion, and there is justification for the preconceived notion too, is it's very difficult to even break in and then have a dialogue and then see if there is a possibility for commercially producing something which the defense might need. So it is that kind of a barrier which I think we in policy making will have to break that down, ensure that you are able to benefit from young minds and new minds and innovative minds which can do something for you, so that the risk, so that the rigor, manual rigor, so that the kind of benefit that you will derive from better engineered products are available for you. So from the point of view of facilitating, yes, Dr. Ajay Kumar, together with the entire ministry, will have to do a lot more to open up for people who want to come in to say, look, I have a product, I have something which I've innovated, do you want to have somebody who can produce it for defense and so on? Because each time an innovation is patented, the innovator himself may not be interested in producing the product. You will have to find somebody who is going to be commercially able to utilize that and produce it in a scale which is required by any captive buyer also. So I would think it is important for us in the ministry to make sure that we facilitate it, we make sure policy enables it, we make sure finance also is available, we make sure then that it is found a market for. So when I'm talking about in this context of mission Raksha Gyan Shakti, I would place it into two silos. That which has got to be innovated, that which has got to be therefore patented, will have to be driven by a necessity. Army or Air Force or Navy would want to be having a certain product. It is necessary for us to have it. We don't know where to obtain it, or from wherever we can obtain it, it's beyond belief expensive. Can we not have an Indian producer who can do it without having to buy it or license it, manufacture it from a licensed owner? That's where you need innovation and also that kind of a production which will be driven by the necessity. Sometimes, of course, the necessity may not be identified because you're getting along with your day-to-day job of, using your machines for what they are for. One of the policy changes, therefore, which Dr. Ajay Kumar has been instrumental in bringing is, we don't identify the necessity. If you have a product which you think you can give us, please startups approach us, suo moto, we'll be able to test it, and after that, say you can use it for whichever purpose. And then there can always be supply and so on. So that necessity driven for individuals is one thing, and for the country is because you do not want byproducts constantly paying up your foreign exchange, that which you can otherwise produce. Not very attractively called, import substitution. You want it, but you can produce it in India. It's just not for substitution, but also to use your creative genius to be able to give us products which will help us. So I put all this into the box of necessity. But there is this other box, which is a typical box, which is, there is a curious mind. It need not necessarily be outside, which is existing outside, we recognize it. But among the uniformed officers who are here, who are users of very many things, you know how things work, how systems work, how little engineering goods work in your context. I'm sure many of you yourselves would say, I wish this can perform differently and enable me better. I'm sure you, with your idea, can translate that idea with the help of a few more people, like-minded people who may not be uniform personnel or may be uniform personnel, but that's where you should be able to sit with some people other than just doing your very critical job and say, look, I know if this function was differently performing, I would be happier. Will you be able to design something? So you people need not do it yourself, but the idea can be thrown out by y'all if it doesn't work, but if it can work or if it has got to work, you should give the idea to somebody else to create something for you, to be able to use it in a far more genius way, in a far more useful way, in a far more productive way. So I think it need not always be left to others. users yourselves can identify quite a few situations in which you can conceive of something which can be given as an idea to somebody to patent or use. Reverse, we've got the example, I'm picking up on one, please don't mind me, it's not as if I've forgotten the rest of you all who have very, very patiently explained a lot of things. Partha Bandopathyaya, am I right? For having done that kind of a, looking at a metal which will be so useful for your small arms. It's absolutely critical that India identifies and produces such metals. And here is somebody who's part of an OFE who's doing it. I would think Dr. Ajay Kumar would have to be running to, let's say, Steel Authority of India and saying, look, I want this metal to be produced. Here is somebody who's done it and patented it, and he also belongs to the government. Very proud for that. Shouldn't one of our steel companies, which are public sector undertakings, I would think Salem Steel or any other book, so many of them are government, Bilai Steel, they should immediately have a specialized steel production unit looking at this and say, we'll produce that in a large scale so that any one of your, let's say, OFEs, and nowadays you have private sector which is also producing small arms, supply that material to them. So in a way, I'm telling possibly to Dr. Ajay Kumar and DGQA, it is important for the ministry to have a cell which can facilitate in exchange of ideas from the user point of view, do the matchmaking where the ideas have already crystallized in some form, further do the matchmaking with companies which can produce it for you, and then further ensure that that product which is manufactured goes to the actual user who could be the producer of the, in this case, the small arms which are produced by private sector and also the public sector. If there is an improved metal, better metal available, why is it that we wouldn't want to immediately do that linkage for the production of that metal and the establishment of the quality for the supply to the persons or the companies or the public sector undertaking which has to produce. Most often in India, innovators suffer because they are not therefore also doing all this. They are only going to have to, give concrete shape to an idea, but after that they are lost. They do not know who's going to take this product. They do not know who's going to capitalize on it. They do not know how to make it into a commercial venture, and that's not a headache, that's not a USP. Their USP is to only to give shape to the concrete idea that they want to give. And that's where I think for defense, which suffers from this unique feature which I explained earlier, that you are difficult to enter in, that there is a barrier to talk about things which are relevant to defense. I would think that being so, it is important that the ministry, together with the DGQA, immediately spends time not just to help patenting, but also even as that process of patenting is happening, it takes its own sweet time, I know. In the meanwhile, make sure such people are linked up with potential manufacturers, potential buyers, potential users, so that you give them the sense of security and guarantee that what they've done is useful and it will have a commercial value, commercial meaning. So I would think not just the curious user, but also those who are doing it driven by necessity, and in Indian armed forces, I would think the necessity argument can be very imaginatively spread. That which is being used in Thar Desert, it has to be used in a high altitude. It is for you who are using it to tell us, look, this is great there in Rajasthan. No, I'm using it in a high altitude, DBO for instance. Sorry, it just freezes, it doesn't work, what is it that you need? That's the kind of linkage which the ministry should facilitate to get people who have an inclination to do something novel to say, look, this is the problem they're facing, would you want to do something? We'll fund you, we'll help you, we'll assist you, and take you to the logical conclusion. So that facilitation center, I think, should make a very big beginning by bringing together all such ideas which have been displayed outside and more such ideas which have not been displayed, but ensure the linkage is made for the users, eventually making defense benefit from innovative minds and their activities. And I would think also further that many of us who had association or friends or linkages in the 3 or 4 such places where absolute fertile minds work, we should bring in linkages with Defense Ministry, whether it is from Silicon Valley, whether it is from innovations which are now getting grouped together in Germany, whether the wonderful youth-driven program in Israel, where they went about awarding people for great inventions and innovations which have been patented in the last several years have been absolutely at great speed. Such startups should also be brought together with the Indian startups which can work in defense, so that cross-pollination or exchange of ideas can all result in some output which can immediately give the breakthrough for startups and innovations to benefit Indian defense industry. Most often, as I said earlier, I would like to repeat this point, most often it is the absence of taking to the logical conclusion which discourages people who would want to do something in innovation. So I would think Gyan Shakti, this mission, Gyan Shakti's purpose would be well served if they are able to take every one of these ideas to some logical conclusion, not just give yourself the target for so many number of patents which have to be done within a year. Yes, that's useful because it keeps you pegged at your, keeps you focused in your job. But I think somewhere you'll have to reconcile for yourself as to how many such ideas have been taken to its logical conclusion. In fact, one of the earliest meetings that I had with the Secretary DRDO, Dr. Satish Reddy, was as soon as he became the Secretary, when he came to meet me, the one idea or suggestion that I had given to him is for him to look at all the DRDO units which are under him and tell me how many of them have had any patents registered in all their existence. Not just 1 year, last 2 years, no. As long as they've existed, tell me how many patents have been registered by them. And how many ideas are left behind in them for just want of attention and want of motivation, which are potential for registration for patents, but which have been left aside without getting into patenting. Dr. Satish Reddy, I remember, has gone on to that job, came back with an initial feedback, but I expect him to do more because your own presentation showed us 2 important things. Neem, which is extensively cultivated, extensively used in Ayurveda, extensively used in any rural area in India, was first patented for its properties abroad. So is haldi. Most of us knew the product's usefulness, not today, not yesterday. For generations in India, haldi has been used by everybody. First patented for its properties, medicinal properties, abroad. I'm not coming to a conclusion, but I'm raising a question. Do we take many things for granted in this country? Our neem tree is at the backyard of every one of our houses. But none of us are motivated enough to say, gosh, this has so much value. Do I need to patent it? This world today goes by all this because the commercial value is derived after you patent it. Oh, but as you say in Hindi, garka murga, murgi, we leave it like that. So I'm sure in our own areas, many things are taken for granted and we just don't bother to go and identify and say it might have a commercial value, should we do it. So I would want to honestly request each one of you all who found it worthy to come here for this very important and useful meeting to go back to question for yourself, introspect, and say, what is it that I have to do around me? What is it that I have to take as a thought and an idea forward to either provoke the ministry to do more for it, or provoke people who can work with me to say, can we do something to make lives better? After all, what is the larger principle of anything which is getting innovated? You want to make things better. And in that process, I think defense has a lot of scope. We might want to ensure that innovations and the spirit of innovation comes into defense, and it need not always come through newer startups which are coming in because they have the drive, but many of you who are part of the service, part of the defense forces, and those who have retired from the service can think of a role to guide people, to innovate, to help defense, in order that the old idea of import substitution is served, but more importantly, we become an innovating society, give shape to the creativity which is lying dormant in you, and benefit yourselves and also the country. So there is nothing much more that I would want to add, but I think I appreciate the effort taken by the Secretary. I'm sure the DRDO can also become a large government-funded institution which should focus, I would think, or can I correct my line? Can refocus on R&D. Because if I were to say, can DRDO focus on R&D, they would say, don't you know it is meant for that? But there is a point that I want to drive home here. They have to refocus to play an active role in R&D. The private sector can also do it, but I think R&D is a difficult area, requires great lot of money and attention, has a long gestation period for getting anything out, and it is the business of government, I would think, in a big way, to invest in R&D, and the government is willing to do it. But the DRDO-like institutions, which have been here for a long time, have a business to be on their toes. The gestation is for the idea which has to germinate and come out, not for the institution per se. So I would think the DRDO should have to innovate, in a way, introspect to make themselves a bit more nimble in terms of innovation. So thank you for this opportunity, and I'm sure this meeting and post this meeting, a lot of things will develop towards making Gyan Shakti a bit more relevant and meaningful for defense itself. Thank you very much. Welcome.